And so when we think about professional, non-professional, we take it back a step or two and we say, if somebody's taken an oath, if somebody's professed that they are going to, say for example, practice law or practice medicine, they're upholding a certain standard of conduct so that if you go to them and say, things aren't so good right now, I don't feel very good, or I have a legal problem, or you go to your pastor and you say, I need to talk to you about something and I need for us to have this conversation in confidence. The duty of the person who is a professional in that sense is the duty of someone to act in your best interest. And putting their own self-interest aside and acting in almost a fiduciary way to say your interest is the most important interest. If you know more than other people about a specific area of endeavor, you have power or influence or authority, you have greater access to resources and information, and in a sense, you do operate a little bit under less supervision because most of these professions are self-regulating. You have this higher standard, this higher calling. Now, over time, this has come to be a part as we've moved from an industrial economy into a post-industrial economy. We are many of us knowledge workers, many of us working, moving electrons around, checking our email, thinking about projects that we're working on. This idea of professionalism and this additional amount of training that's involved with almost every job that you have these days is something where we all find ourselves in a position where we have access to information, we have knowledge, we have the ability to make or break somebody else's day sometimes based upon the decisions we make. And so what I want you to think about today, and as we think about Pledge Sunday, is this idea that you probably hold yourself to a pretty high standard when it comes to your day-to-day life, and or those for whom you solicit services. And if somebody's not professional to you, you're probably not going to recommend them to someone else. And as you think about the work that you do outside, I think we should think about not only the blessings that we have from church and the faith that we get and the enriching of our lives that we take out into the world, but there are those things that we have out in the world: expertise, knowledge, time, and talent that we bring back. And I think it's incumbent upon us to think, because if we profess our faith and we profess our decision to be a part of this church, if we have committed to being a part of McAllister Plymouth and to this community, not only do we give as we receive, but we should also think about giving to the level that we can because of the standards that we hold ourselves to and the abilities that we have. And giving and pledging to McAllister Plymouth is very much that. We are pledging beyond ourselves. We're pledging beyond what we get out of the transaction. We pledge in a way to give to a greater duty to the congregation. Now, the news isn't always good. And when we think about the apocalyptic message, the fact that there are going to be end times, I don't think Jesus was saying that to scare people or to scare the disciples. I think what Jesus was saying is we're going to be surrounded by bad news. But we need to be very careful in whom we trust so that we can work together to get through these times. We know what the truth's going to be, and those people we trust, they may have to give us good news sometimes, they may have to give us bad news sometimes. But finding those people we trust and having that additional duty, those to whom the gifts are entrusted, have that extra duty to give beyond. So, in closing, so nice and brief, when you take your pledge card today, I want you to think about not only the gifts that you've received, but also the duty, the opportunity that we all have to take the time and talent and treasure that we benefit from in the outside world to bring into McAllister Plymouth, whether it's service on session, whether it's participating in music, or in this particular day, we're focusing a little bit on financial stability and sustainability. And take that additional duty that we have, not only to give as we've received, but to give as our time and talent and our training and expertise and as any ability that we have dictates, so that we can help this church sustain and maybe keep the temple from falling down for another year. So, thank you all.
Please join me in prayer. God of all life, Thank you for the signs of your love and creativity that surround us and bless us. They remind us that we have been found by your love. Spirit of liberation, your hands hold all that is broken. Our longing is like your longing, for a world that is renewed and a life that is redeemed. You have molded all nations with blessings. Guide our nation as it deliberates over healthcare reform, and sculpt us to join with the other nations according to your will. Transform us all with the hope of liberation for this world. God of wisdom, you rebuild the church over and over from age to age. Caught in the chasm between your kingdom and our reality, you love us in our ordinariness and call us to be sisters and brothers. Use us for renewal, full of courage, anchored in faith in you. In compassion, help us live the prophetic life, knowing that this world needs prophets to turn imagination into right living. Lord of resurrection, you are alive, offering recreation to every unhealed hurt, every deadened place, every damaged heart. You strengthen the weak and hear the prayers of the forgotten. Renew people in need now, especially those we mention in the quiet of our hearts. In everything that is insecure, we know your love is constant. Hold us close. We hand you our prayers, our glad hearts, and our rejoicing spirits, while our bodies rest in hope. Please receive the benediction. In leaving this place, remember the good news that Jesus proclaimed. Remember to hold dear his words of hope. Experience and spread God's peace, and joyfully proclaim his coming, his life, and his ministry in your life. Amen.